Hi everyone, I'm Tony Jackson and this is your weekly reading for the week of 5th to the 11th of February 2018. And yes, I'm back doing weekly readings. I have had a little bit of a break. I think the last weekly reading I did on the YouTube was back in October of last year. So I started to miss them. So I thought I'm going to get back and do the weekly readings this year. And here I am. Here we go for the first reading for 2018. So if you're new to my YouTube channel or new to watching my readings, welcome to my weekly readings. And what I actually do is, for the reading, is I actually spend a little bit of time before I record the video and just get some guidance on what I'm to talk about and share with you on the video. So the intent is that the process or the healing that I'm given or the guidance that I'm given is to be shared with anybody that views this video. So I believe you wouldn't even come across the video, or you wouldn't be watching if the guidance wasn't for you, or the technique wasn't for you. So it usually actually also coincides quite nicely with things going on in my own life. So I get a little bit of a healing, and then I love to share it and tell you what my guides have been saying. So, and I do a similar process for most of my weekly readings. Sometimes I'll choose a card to go with it, either an angel card or a tarot, but I'm not going to do that this week. I'm so excited to be back. I really miss doing the readings, so let's get into it. I did get a chance to do one Facebook Live over on my Light Frequency Healing Facebook page. I'll put the link below. I did do one Facebook Live, and I would like to get back and do more of those when I get a chance, but I'm really happy to get the weekly readings up and running again, so here we go. So what they actually told me to tell you for this week, or to share with you for this week, is actually talk a little bit about the higher self. So the higher self is actually the higher part of you, the higher consciousness. We only have part of... Oh, I've got the air conditioner going here. I might just turn the air conditioner off because I think it disrupts the sound a little bit. I hope you can hear me better now. The higher self, or the higher consciousness, we all have a higher self, higher consciousness. Only part, or a limited part of that consciousness comes in. It feels limited. It's probably not that limited, but it feels limited to what the higher self is, comes into the physical body. So there's a greater part of us, the higher self, that stays out of the physical body. So it's like we have a bigger consciousness, or a bigger energy that is us, but not in the physical. Now you can tap into your higher self quite easily by just asking and just meditating and asking to receive guidance or insight from the higher self. The higher self actually sends us impulses, ideas, energy quite often. It's almost like a constant stream of energy there that's available. So it's not that you can only talk or tap into your higher self at certain times. The actual energy of the higher self is constantly there, but we actually can block it or learn to shut it off. Because on the physical plane, we're not often talking about the higher self or using the higher self consciousness, we actually begin to really restrict it and not access it, access the information and guidances that are there. You might actually get a feeling that your higher self sometimes comes through when you receive an impulse out of the blue for something. Or now, it's not a thought thing. It's not like, oh, I think I've got to go and do this. It's a knowingness and a feeling that you've got to go and do something. Or you come up with this great idea that's perfect. If you can get impulses that are coming from the mind, but I'm talking about these impulses that are coming generally from a higher source. And you may not recognize that they are actually coming from a higher source. You can get it through visions and feelings and energy too. It doesn't have to be always an idea. You can the higher self can communicate to you in a lot of different ways. But I thought for the first reading for this week, or healing, is that we get in contact more with our higher self and start to build that bridge and that connection back to the higher self-consciousness, because we are a little bit limited, generally speaking. I mean, you could be one of those people that have practiced your connection with the higher self, and you're benefiting from the wisdom that you gain from connecting to your higher self more often. But it is something that you kind of need to practice and realign yourself with and become familiar once again with. Because when you actually do begin to tap into the higher self, you will notice and feel that it actually kind of feels right. It kind of feels like a belonging, and it kind of feels like a, oh, I already knew that, but I didn't remember kind of thing. It's like a returning to the higher self feeling that you get often. It's not something really separate from you that you've got no idea about. It will be quite, attuned and aligned to your own self and very familiar. But of course, because you might not be aligned so much with your higher self, you don't realize that it is familiar because you are receiving constant flow of guidance with your higher self. But as I said before, we're often very limited in the physical, and we even limit the connection with our higher self. Some of those famous people, they don't have to be famous, people with great ideas, music, inspired action that's positive, often comes from higher self guidance and higher self impulses. So let's begin to now, for this week, tap back into our higher self. So what I'm actually going to do for you is to actually go through your chakra centers with you and link the higher self back into your chakra centers. So I'm actually going to do this by using silver light. Now, this is going to actually help us make a vibrational connection back to our higher self. There's many different ways to connect to your higher self. This is not just one. This is not the only way. You can meditate and ask to be connected to your higher self. You can ask to be connected to your higher self through your dreams. And what will happen is you'll slowly become more familiar with what the higher self is for you. Now, it's the same for everybody, but it may be a different way of connecting for everybody. So it's through your own identity, your own feeling, your own knowingness, and your own attunement that you become reconnected to your higher self. So what I'm going to do for you, as I said, is channel some silver light into your chakras and ask that silver light reconnect you back to the higher self. So let's begin. So we're starting with the base chakra. So I'm going to channel silver light into your base chakra. I'm going to do myself at the same time. It's going to come down for myself at the same time. Silver light into your base chakra. Just breathe the energy in. Now you may feel the energy come from me to you, and you're thinking, well, how come I can feel that? It's because we're all connected, and it's because the energy that I use has no time and place, so you can actually access the energy while you're watching me, even if it's a year down the track or something, even if you're running late and don't get to see this video until a couple of weeks later, you'll still be able to access the energy. So, and it's also because it's coming from my higher self, helping to you to bridge in your higher self, we begin to get that we're all connected feeling. So it actually helps you to access your higher self. So don't be surprised if you begin to feel the energy coming to you. Silver light into your base chakra and asking that silver light connect you to your higher self. And you can say, I ask that the silver light connect me to my higher self. And that's going into the base chakra. Now, for a lot of these energy healings, I do like to say free will and choice. That's free will and choice to allow the silver light into my base chakra to connect me to my higher self. Now, if you're not familiar with the chakras, you can just imagine the silver lights coming to you for the purpose of connecting to your higher self. It's my free will and choice to allow this silver light to come into my base chakra to connect me to my higher self. Now we're going to move, there's 7 chakras that we're going to do. So we're going to move up to the spleen or sacral, which is just above the base chakras at the base of your spine. The spleen is just below your navel or your belly button, just above the spine but below your navel. You may call them different things and they may be in slightly different positions, but it will work anyway. Silver light now into your spleen chakra or sacral chakra. Free will and choice for you to accept this silver light into your sacral chakra for the purpose of connecting to your higher self. So you can imagine a stream of light coming into your sacral chakra, and the spinning silver light is going to help you connect to your higher self. Now, we could do a chakra balance and a chakra clearing for anything. You could do it for something else, another problem that you've got. But because I kind of get guidance what to do, and I believe that that will help anybody that watches this video, and the purpose and the intent, as I said, for the silver light is to connect you to your higher self for this week. That was the spleen. Let's go up to the solar plexus in the middle of your body, torso. Silver light into your solar plexus. Now, the silver light's coming to me and to you. Free will and choice for you to accept this silver light into your solar plexus for the purpose of connecting to my higher self. So you could say something like, I accept the silver light. It's my free will and choice to accept the silver light into my solar plexus to help me to connect to my higher self. That seems like a big one for this one, because it's like our physical consciousness limits us, because the bottom 3 chakras are our physical chakras and the top 4 chakras are more the spiritual chakras. So I feel like the solar plexus is a big one for this particular purpose. Free will and choice to accept the silver light into your solar plexus chakra for the purpose of connecting to your higher self. This silver light could shift other things in your life. You know, if you've got a block, some other kind of block that's stopping you from getting to your higher self, well, this silver light will help it. But the intent is to connect you to your higher self, as I said a few times. Let's do the heart chakra. So what I'm doing, I'm channeling silver light to you. You might start to feel tingles or anything, because there is no time and space with this energy. You can access, I'm really helping you to access energy that's already there. Free will and choice for you to, that's the garbage truck going past. I don't know if you can hear it. The garbage collector, which is probably quite apt for us releasing our stuff out of our chakras. Let's give it all to the garbage man. Anyway, back to the, you probably can't hear it. Heart chakra, free will and choice to accept the silver light into your heart chakra for the purpose of connecting to the higher self. I now accept the silver light. Let's start again. For the heart chakra, you can say, it is my free will and choice to accept silver light into my heart to help me connect to my higher self. Let's move up to the throat now. Throat chakra, just checking my phone. Throat chakra there. Free will and choice to accept the silver light into my throat chakra for the purpose of connecting to my higher self, to help me to connect to my higher self. Let's do the throat again. Silver light, free will and choice to accept silver light into my throat to help me to connect to my higher self. We're going very well. So that's the bottom 5 chakras. We've got 2 more to do. We've got the third eye and the crown. Let's just have a little bit of a stretch, and a movement might just help us a little bit. Sometimes you just need a little bit of a break and breathe it in. You can go and have a drink of water if you like, because sometimes that you don't feel something straight away, and then in a few moments you'll start to feel the shift happening. You might want to have a little nap or a little rest after you watch this, or some quiet time alone while the energy continues to move through you. But let's move on now to the third eye chakra. So silver light into your third eye chakra for the purpose of connecting to your higher self. It's my free will and choice to accept silver light into my third eye chakra for the purpose of connecting to my higher self. That feels very peaceful. See, the peaceful feeling that I just got can be associated with linking to the higher self. Remember, it can come through in feelings and emotions, and just takes a little bit of a period of time for you to begin to understand the higher self as well. It's basically the higher part of you. I mean, we have all these other guides and angels and masters and beings that help us, but we also have our own higher consciousness. Third eye, once again, silver light. It's my free will and choice to accept this silver light into my third eye chakra for the purpose of connecting to my higher self. You know, there is a reason for having limited consciousness. It's set up really for our learning. So we experience kind of a limitation, but the higher self also shows us the way around that limitation, and then we might experience some limitation in another area. So it's not a bad thing that we have kind of limited consciousness in a way. It's kind of designed to be like that. So it's part of our agreement to be on the earth. So, but there is, we are allowed guidance from the higher self, but we don't actually fully experience what it is to be the higher self in the physical. I think we could get periods of time where we might feel very aligned and understand the higher self, but there is a purpose for us to be grounded on the earth and experience what I would call limited consciousness, and then we can cross over. When we die, we'll experience the full benefit of being with the higher self. So it's okay that we're here experiencing limited consciousness. It's part of our agreement. You might not want to call it limited consciousness, but in comparison to the higher self, I believe it is kind of like limited consciousness. So, but in saying that, you are allowed to, there is an agreement where you can receive quite in-depth and a lot of guidance from your higher self. And if you're not getting that, well, it's very good to be open to receiving that. So that's what I'm helping you to do here. Often when we get stuck in certain situations in our life, we need the higher self guidance to say, okay, this is the way out. Understanding the limited consciousness is quite wonderful as well. So anyway, let's move on. We've got one more to do, the crown at the top of the head. It's my free will and choice to allow the silver light into my crown chakra for the purpose of connecting to my higher self. It's my free will and choice to accept the silver light into my crown chakra for the purpose of connecting to my higher self. Thank you, guides and angels. Thank you, beings of light. Archangel Michael, thank you. Archangel Michael can help with this process as well. He's the angel of protection and removing of negativities and fears. So you can call in Archangel Michael as well, just to watch over that. So let's see what happens after that. I think that's a wonderful process to get in. Within, I just want to say one more thing about the limited consciousness. Within the limited consciousness, we're actually going through an awakening. So perhaps in one way we can look that we're becoming not so limited now, and in that way we're opening up, and we're allowed to open up to more and more connection with the higher self. Okay, but we do come into this lifetime with an agreement, kind of like we're going to experience limited consciousness, but currently on the planet we're going through a major shift and an uplifting of energy, which allows us to get more in contact and more vibrational access and information to our higher self. So let's do it. And that's a very good process that my angels and guides gave to me to share with you. So I hope you really enjoy that. I hope you benefit greatly from that. And that's our first weekly reading for 2018. I'm so happy to be back and doing that. I won't choose a card this week, but in some of the future ones I will choose a card. We'll leave the link to my Facebook page, which is the Light Frequency Healing, and I will put up there if I decide to do another Facebook Live. But for now, it's just going to be back to the weekly readings. Give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it on the YouTube. And that's it for now. Lovely to spend this time with you, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Okay, bye for now.